Alright, so the first thing we need to look at here is the definitions. My opponent goes against my definitions of reform and prisons, but does not provide any other definitions, so these are the definitions that we have to go to. Again, to defend a definition of prison, a prison is a place where we hold people while they are waiting trial, or we send them as a punishment. My opponent goes on to attack my contention 1, I think, saying that it is not reformation to be reforming the prisons to be more like Norway's. She says that this applies to the proposition argument, but that's not true. Reformation, as I've defined, is taking out or abolishing problems within the prison or abuses and fixing it so that it works. That is exactly what reformation is if we were to change our prisons to be more like Norway's. My opponent never provides any alternative methods or any alternative means. What she's basically saying is that we should just let all these people back into the world, or she doesn't specify what we should do with them. So to move on to the first major point, we need to ask, what are we going to do with these people? The murderers, the criminals, the rapists, are we going to let them back into our society? She provides no other means, and what I'm saying is that we need to take these people and we put them towards heavy trial before they get sent to prison, so that only the most horrible of crimes and criminals will be in prison, and everybody else is going to be under the alternative methods that I said, which my opponent said nothing about. She dropped a lot of my arguments against her race, not crime argument, the whole racism thing. She dropped my argument completely, merely went on to continue her own case, as well as when I was talking about the people arrested and released and then rearrested. She completely dropped my argument against that as well. She dropped half of the case, the bottom half of the case, and went on to say that only that my contention 1 was not actually reformation, which it is. Moving on. My opponent has no evidence of why we cannot reform prisons. She just says all the problems with prisons and that abolishing them is going to fix this, but she has no reasons against any of my arguments why we cannot just reform these prisons. The definition of prison includes awaiting trial. So what do we do with the people who've committed terrible crimes who are now awaiting trial? There's nothing we can do with them. Sure, abolishment is going to fix some problems for now, but it's causes many more, such as where do we hold criminals and what do we do with them and what punishments will there be for prison-worthy crimes. Crime is just going to replenish and skyrocket if there's no punishment for these. The opponent has provided no alternative methods and says that this should be weighed entirely on pros versus cons, but refused to look at any of the cons I have proposed to abolishing prisons and the pros of the prisons that we have right now. My opponent says that the topic should be looked at only from the view of America, because America has a 25% prison population, but this is not true. The prison population that we have is so high because America needs reform. We have other prisons that are working just fine, and we cannot abolish the prisons all around the entire world. The topic does not specify America. The topic doesn't specify any certain place, so we have to assume that it is worldwide. Reform will solve every problem that she has talked to address all of the problems. Reformation will be removing abuses and fixing the system, which we can do. It is not necessary to abolish the prisons because reformation is going to be easier. Not to mention that reformation, we can pull all drug-related and non-violent criminals out of prison because of the heavy trialing. So this is 2.2 million people in prison, 60% pulled out because they are non-violent or drug-related. This will save $40 billion after doing the math. And this money can be put into reforming the system. So we have all of the money right here in the system, where all the money she's talking about, the process of abolishment, she gives no figures of how much abolishment will cost, and it will cost a lot of money. So voter number 1, I've attacked all of my opponent's case. Voter number 2, I'm advocating for safety and basic human rights. And voter number 3, I provided good alternative plans and definitions, which the opponent did not, and proved that abolishing prisons is not necessary. For these reasons, I encourage a vote in the opposition. Thank you very much.